day, my good friends. I am Sirvelius, and welcome to the very first episode of Cafe Chivalrique. On today's episode, I have for you today how to make this wonderful loaf of artisanal-style bread that only requires naught but 4 ingredients. But what are we waiting for? Let us make some bread.
In order to make this bread, you will need these 4 things. 3 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of blood-warm water, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast. Oh, and 1 Dutch oven to bake it in.
The very first thing we'll need to do is turn on our oven light. The oven light will create the perfect temperature to proof your bread.
Grab a bowl for all of your ingredients and add your flour, your yeast, and your salt. Find something to mix them with, like this stick. Ensure that your ingredients are well acquainted with each other. Once your ingredients are intimate, add your blood-warm water. Stir this around until no clumps of dry flour remain and everyone is nice and moist. Once your dough is as moist as a sinner's loins, remove the phallic object. Cover your bowl with a damp cloth, as it is now ready for your now warm oven. Introduce your bowl of dough to its temporary home and make sure you leave some room for your Dutch oven to begin warming up as well. Imprison them as you would your heathens for 3 hours. Instead of just looking at memes or defending your dough from would-be attackers, might I suggest getting some work done? Getting a workout done. Or perhaps reminding your hounds that you love them.
Who's the goodest girl? Who's the goodest girl? Goodest girl. You're my baby. My little tiny hound. My baby hound. Good girl. Yes.
Once 3 hours have passed, prepare a sheet of parchment paper. Apply some flour. Spread it like the plague. If you have a shallow 8-inch bowl, that would be ideal. However, I have this pan. Place the parchment on the pan and set this aside. Retrieve your dough from its prison and reveal to it the light of day. Prepare a weapon to coax the dough from its bed. Apply flour to your work surface. Be as generous with this as you wish the rich ought to be. Now take your weapon. You plowing piece of sh**. Release the dough from its slothful bed by stabbing its connections to the bowl. Once the dough is free, enchant your hands with anti-stickiness by applying flour. Now then, we shall stretch and fold this bread into shape. From the north, from the east, from the west, and the good old reach around. Some people leave this as is to allow the seams to bloom, but I think that's ugly. So we will pick this up, shape it with our hands, and plop it into the prepared parchment paper. Seam side down. Clean up a bit so that you avoid the wrath of your wife. And imprison the dough once more to think about its sins for a good 30 minutes. Right then, with the Dutch oven in the bigger oven, preheat the bigger oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that the oven is preheated, time to make our dough look somewhat better. With a knife that's preferably sharper than mine, carve a pattern of your choosing. I'm going with a simple cross. Carefully retrieve the hot Dutch oven from the bigger oven, and literally just drop the dough, parchment and all, into the oven. Seal it up with the hot lid, and set the entire thing into the bigger oven for a good 35 minutes. Once 35 minutes is up, Remove the lid from the Dutch oven and leave it in for another 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how crunchy you want your bread. I left mine in for another 15 minutes. Now that baking is done, remove from the oven and resist the urge to eat it. If you have no cooling rack such as myself, create a makeshift one by placing 2 wooden utensils down to support the bread. Lo and behold, my friends, you have just created a wonderful loaf. I will name it Loafington. Now that you have your loaf, you can do whatever you want with it. However, I do recommend cutting them into quarters, and cutting those quarters into quarters, and serving those lovely pieces of bread as is, or perhaps enjoyed with a bit of olive oil. Or give this simple open-faced sandwich a go. Toast up a piece of your bread, apply some butter, apply mayonnaise, introduce a processed piece of a turkey's corpse, and add some milk that has been processed into cheese. There you have it, my friends, a wonderful, simple, open-faced sandwich with a crunch that is to die for.
And there you have it, my friends. Nice, beautiful, artisanal style no-knead bread. I do thank you with all of my heart for watching this video. Please do consider subscribing. It will help me out quite a bit. Have a good day, my friends. And remember to outlive your enemies.